Hi there, welcome to Community Made, the podcast dedicated to exploring the powerful ways we connect in our lives, our work, and our business. I'm your host, Ingrid Zapata Read, and in each episode, we'll dive into genuine conversations that shape our sense of belonging, offering insights and real stories about building meaningful communities in life, in business, online, and offline. Let's grow! Natalie Madrigal is the founder of Perfector CX, a consultancy that helps service-based businesses, agencies, and SaaS companies grow through client retention, customer advocacy, and engaged communities. With a background that spans Meta, Google for Education, startups, and nonprofits, Natalie brings over a decade of experience building customer journeys that lead to loyalty, referrals, and long-term revenue. Natalie, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I have my big coffee right in hand, so I'm set for like life.
I love it. Wait, can we just really quickly talk about how you and I met months ago in person at an Entrepreneurs League meetup in the city? And we were like, we gotta get together, we gotta talk. And now it's been months and we finally we're getting that opportunity
I
now.
know, I know, but that just goes how crazy like that life as an entrepreneur is because I felt like 2 weeks ago, even though it's just like no, that was months ago. That was months
Yeah.
ago. But that's entrepreneur life.
I'm so excited. And I'm glad that it worked out. I'm glad that we're sitting here, that we're chatting, because I feel like I have a lot of questions and there's so much that I want to learn about you and that I want to share about your story. And we follow each other. But I was like on your Instagram and I came across your perfect post that you have for your intro. And it's really cute. I have to show it because I fell in love with it. It's a great example. If anyone needs help figuring out what an intro post looks like, this is it. Because when we follow each other, we feel like we know who that person is, but we really don't.
Mhm.
So this was very helpful. And I just want to pause there because I learned so much about you
Thank you.
just through this
I
post.
appreciate.
I'm also a manifester, by the way.
Wait, really? That's why
Yeah. I don't remember my numbers, but I'm a manifester to the
I'm a
T.
3-5, so that's really the F around and find out kind of profile where it's just like literally like meant on this earth to just like try different things, experiment and share with the world. I'm like, I can do that. That works. I'm also Sagittarius,
I can
so
do that.
very much like let's try it out. Go with the flow, go with the wind, which is wild that I do client experience as a Sagittarius because that's so much structure and workflows. And I'm just like me as a personality. So I'm just like, what? Let's go.
Wait, I have to pause there because so is that what you were thinking? Is that what inspired you? You've worked at big companies. I mean, Meta, Google. Let's just dive right in. How so many questions.
Like, how did that happen, right? Like, how did I even get
Were you really let me just F around and find out, you
pretty
know?
much? So my like earlier careers or my first like big girl careers that
Yeah.
after I graduated from college, was actually community. My first role was a community manager, but in person because there was no digital communities really yet. I remember it was at a nonprofit. And I remember when we finally made a Facebook group was a couple of years in. That was huge. So that's like the really
Yeah.
beginning steps. But it's always been community, my other roles as well. And then when I was working in one of the schools that I worked in, Google reached out, like recruiter for Google, they reached out because they were looking for someone to manage their Google Classroom community. And I'm just like, and they wanted people who were actually knew about education. I was just like, oh, I've done both. I'm in SES and education. I'm probably
Yeah.
it was a perfect.
You were like, move over. I got this.
And you know what? Not even. I was just like, I know this product. This is cool. I've heard of Google before. Why not? And that's very much like very like gotta go with the flow. Like, let's try it out. Let's see. And I loved it. And that's where I fell in love with tech. And that's where I fell in
Yeah.
love with not just community, but more of the whole experience. Like, oh my gosh, like we couldn't. I love giving people like those aha moments, but together.
Yeah.
And from there, I went on to do some customer success roles, and then my last and customer advocacy and more community roles. And then my last role was at Meta. My last tech role, official
Mhm.
tech role was at Meta as a senior customer success manager and was bilingual too. So I worked with our LATAM clients and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I just loved every bit of the relationship building and making people's lives a little bit easier, the connecting and just
Yeah.
being really just real and myself. And I think that's what has made me love helping people build client experiences, both technical parts and just the fun front facing parts, because it's just is
Yeah.
the ultimate culmination of you, like you as a person, you as your brand, as your individual. It's you. It's just
Yeah.
you in a structured form that's getting delivered to, and
Yep.
it's so much fun.
I love that because not a lot of people realize that so many different roles tap into community. And you just nailed it when you said it's just you. And I've had so many conversations, even with friends, who are like, it's just not who I am. I don't feel the urge or the need to be like, hi, and make that first step and make that connection and assist and help and support. And that's totally fine. But I really do believe, like, you can absolutely learn it for, like, of course you can. But I really do believe that when you feel it in that way that you do, it can be very magical.
And it's fun to, I think when people say that, they might not realize it, but you've been in some sort of community your whole life. Like there are so many
Yeah.
different levels of community, different forms of it. And it's just not maybe like you saying hi to people, but you're in it. Like if you were school groups, or if I don't know, if you're like from a smaller town, like I'm from New York City, so I don't know this small town
Yeah.
feel, but a lot of people that know from like smaller towns, like that's their own little community where they were in churches, and that's
Yeah.
like you've been part of community, maybe not in the way that it's getting its spotlight now, which is great, but like community has always been there. It's
Yeah.
native to humans. It's part of human nature. We want to be in that in a space where we feel accepted and belonging. So
Even though every now and then we like to be alone and disconnect, we can't do life alone. We really need to have some type of support system, and that can look very different. Like exactly what you just said. I always also like to include rec sports and all of the coaches who volunteer and bring the kids together, bring parents together. You know, even before the internet, there was always like, those newsletters that you'd get in the mail from your local subdivision or wherever you live, your town memo. I don't know. What do you call those?
I love that you just said, like before the internet. I'm just like, we were there before the internet. Well, it's a blessing and a curse. Like it's so cool that we have this technology.
I know. I just feel like it's so different. And what you said earlier about like, yeah, I've heard of Google. Like, can you imagine now there is no shortage of information? What do you think will happen, especially like as entrepreneurs and community builders and just ourselves, like using AI and everything every day now? Because we've also been using AI. It just wasn't widely, adopted in that way. Yeah, as it is now. But what do you feel what are you thinking about, like, in the next 2, 3 years when there's so much knowledge? You just said it. You're like, back then, you couldn't build community in this way, where now it's everything. It's a social media profile, it's a newsletter, it's a podcast, it's your own profile on social media. There's so many different definitions. And so I just would love to hear what you think about where we're at now and where you see us going,
Yeah.
because I'm scared.
So, I'm actually excited because I've been thinking about this a lot actually. And I think with the rise of like AI and everybody feeling they have access to everything at all times. You people, and this goes back to like the individual people as individuals, we're gonna have to become so it's gonna force people to, I think, step out of like their comfort zones and just get
Yeah.
so comfortable, like standing up, like learning and standing up for things you believe in and creating your own opinions. I think that's a differentiator of people. It's just like you being able to get all the information and formulate your own opinions and own your own stories versus just regurgitating everything else people are saying. That's one thing I think. So I think it's gonna force it. It'll just be like, no, you're gonna have to like, what do you think? What do you like? What do you believe in? How do you like to connect? How do you want to like portray yourself? So we know that it's you and not something that AI can actually replicate. As hard as it
Yes.
like, you know, AI hasn't lived your life. So there is something about you that makes you still you at the end of the day. You're just gonna have to like double down on that. And that's how I think people listen to succeed. So that's one thought I've been having. And then because you saw my profile, but I was also a sociology and history major, so studying this.
I saw that.
Yeah. The nerd in me coming out like, oh, well, how are people like interacting with each other because they're like resonance. I love it. And then the other piece with AI too is that I think we're gonna have like a nice circle moment where it's going to be, and we're seeing it already a little bit, But now it's going to be more about that human connection, like face to face. We're going to go back to like more
Yeah.
just being present in person with each other.
Mhm.
We're so AI'd out that having that in
Yeah.
person real life components of things is going to be more important than ever. People are just going to hang out
Yeah.
with each other more. Hopefully, I think that's a good use of AI. It's just like, yeah, let AI do
Right.
things that would take a lot of your time or automate a lot of what you can, and then but you
Mhm.
to just go be a human side
Yeah.
with other people.
Yeah.
Don't just do
No, I agree. And I like that you mentioned this because it makes me feel a little better. But also, based on your content and even just hearing you now, you like to talk about CX like it's personal
Yeah.
because it is. And so you just brought a really good point. Like, I think we're in a pivotal point right now where the type of connections and interactions and content that will perform better is the genuine and authentic one.
Yes, exactly.
And so, and it's great, but I feel like we're there. We need more real. Like the way that I like to think about it when I'm writing a newsletter or a post, I'm like, I want this to sound like if I'm just running into you and not like I spent 3 days thinking about it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it's gonna come back to, because it's so funny. More and more people can now easily spot when something's written by AI too, which is just
Yeah.
just like, yeah, AI like completely wrote. They didn't change anything. Or I don't know if you saw that
Yeah.
video that's going viral like with the bunnies.
The bunnies. I was just gonna put.
And it's like,
Wait, did you see the one with the dog and the lion or something?
oh,
And they come up to the ring camera and they just like make a peace sign. There's so many now. And
was
some
that
people, it was AI and they were all together. I just saw a carousel. I'm gonna have to find it so I can link it because it was like, and I was literally like, oh my, what is happening? Like scrolling, but I couldn't stop watching. And it's everywhere now. And there's some accounts that do disclose that it is AI generated, but they put it in the smallest, tiniest font. And
people don't.
I think it should be visible.
Yeah, because imagine us who are on the internet all the time and very familiar and tech savvy and know the AI tools. Like, if we get a little bamboozled and we're just like, oh, imagine people who are just not tech savvy. I always get worried, and I don't know if my mom will hear this, but if she does, I love you, mommy. Like, I always get so worried that my mom is gonna run into something and send me something like, I see this. I'm like, mom, it's not real. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so
No,
scared.
no, she's not alone though. I feel like things are getting so real now that anybody can fall for them. It's like those phone scams and the email scams. They just have had a lot of time to practice. And with these tools, there's nothing you can't do.
And people are moving so quickly now that I don't know, it's like with AI and like in the hands of more people, like, and it being just so accessible, which again is great and it's good, but
Yeah.
the advances we're probably gonna see in the next 1 to 3 years, insane.
Yeah.
Which
We have no idea what's coming.
you have to keep those real life in-person connections really,
Yeah.
really strong and intact, and just make time for it, because that's gonna be
Mhm.
I feel like everyone's like saving grace a little bit, just
Yeah.
like those real genuine in-person moments, or even like moments like this when we're just Zoom call, even if you can't like get to
Yeah.
somebody in person, like live with them next to you, just doing some of this and just building those relationships and connections.
I'll say my prediction, because now I'm doing that, is that you remember when social media used to be our escape? In real life is going to become our escape once again. Like that's all we're gonna want to do. So we're gonna have to have this conversation all over again in like 1 to 2 years.
Thursday, July 31st, 2027. We're gonna come back and just be like,
See, there we go. Wait, so I feel like I just jumped in because that's who I am. I'm just like, we haven't talked in so long. Let's get it all out there. And then I got really distracted. Can we just go back for a second
Yeah.
here? How long ago when did you take the leap from corporate into your business, which is, it's called Perfect Your CX, right?
And there's a lot of reasons for that name, but that's another conversation. But I made the decision to like not go back to corporate full time about 2 years ago. There was when all those big tech layoffs were happening,
Yeah.
I was sort of part of it. My story's a little bit weird because the team that I worked for, they were acquired, but then during the layoffs, they were divested, so they were allowed to like continue
Okay.
operating as a standalone company. I was just like, okay, do you want to work with the team as a standalone company, or just leave and take your severance and go? And I was just like, I'm going to take my severance and go. So I just traveled, reflected, really figured out what I wanted to do because I felt like, not that I hit the ultimate point in my career, but I didn't really have the urge to go further doing that. I was just like, I worked at the companies that I would want to work for. I did it. I did the things that I had to do. There's not much else that I wanted to like learn there. I wanted to continue to learn from people because I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of smart people, and I made sure while I was there in corporate, and this is at every job I went to, like I unknowingly, because it wasn't planned, made sure to ask all the questions. Like, how did you do this? How did you get there? What's the shows? I made sure to ask that to everybody. And so even when I was like before I met at like an earlier stage startup, I understood how the process of raising funds from going to Series A to Series B. I'm like, oh, that's what's important. That's how it's done. How did I get in? I made sure to just understand and be a part of everything, so I could understand it and like share the knowledge. Like now knowing that I can share the knowledge. I wasn't originally going in like go and I was just curious, but now I'm just like, oh, but I know how to do it. Now I can like spread that and share that knowledge with other people. But that was that. And then I was just like, okay, I think it's time to take that jump. I've been presented with this opportunity. I'm okay, I have time to think about it, which a lot of people don't. A lot of people, and I don't actually recommend that people take the leap until they're have some savings or feel financially stable, because that extra stress is just like, whew, you can build a little bit of a comfort, or what is it, a safety net for yourself. You feel like I would do that, or just like stay in your 9 to 5 and do this part-time. But I finally, I was like, it's time, I'm gonna take the leap. And a big inspiration was, while I traveled a lot, so I was just like sharing a lot of my all of my travel stories on Instagram and stuff. While the algorithm, I guess, connected that, and I learned more about, like, I saw these influencers and I saw these market, like a lot of people like just building products and personal brands and all that online. I'm just like, oh, this is very, like, I'm curious, like, this is so cool. And I saw like all the expansion, like all these other businesses that are growing, and I was like, well, I can do this too. But the thing that made me want to do CX was that I saw that a lot of these businesses weren't growing. Like, it was like a wow, Spanish is like, you're stuck in the same place, or they would just disappear and go out of business, or they would just not have, like, I would buy from them and they would not have the after experience that I was used to like working in. And I would saw, like, I knew how much revenue that I like would impact for a business. You're missing out on a lot of money. Honestly, and if you're trying to build a business that grows, and I'm like, I can't imagine that if you're promoting and that you're not trying to like build your own sort of like empire or really successful business. Do you just not like know that club experience is own kind of like beast and department, and that like really successful companies have teams and teams of people just involved in making sure that once someone's a client, that their experience is great, they stick around. It's like, and I'm like, oh, I don't think so, because unless you're in there, or unless you have like a mentor, or unless you've had some education, you don't necessarily know. So I was like, okay, this is where I can come in. This is where I can interject myself and really
there's a big gap.
help people and show them like what client experience is, help them know what to focus on, where to go next, and like what they should probably invest in before, I don't know, spending a ton of money on ads, or just redoing their product line, or just like making these big shifts without having those foundations set up first.
So do you focus more on done with you or done for you when you take on clients?
Yeah, so right now it's been a lot of done for you. I am gonna just for my capacity's sake and just like deal with interest. I do wanna start a done with you model that's more like a group, like that cohort setting, because
that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who they're not ready for like that one-on-one big consulting, because they're not looking to raise funds. Maybe they're like still under like 500, and like they're not ready to like make that kind of investment, but they still want to set that foundation. Like, I want to redo my customer journey and revamp it. I want to update. I want to like figure out like my upsell flows and see where I can upsell people instead of system in for that. I want to lay foundations for like a really good onboarding and offboarding so that, my clients feel very comfortable, they're successful what they bought for me, and it's easy for them to like stay in my universe or renew with me again. So like really setting up the strategy and the know-how to succeed, honestly. I have like my 3-part, what I believe is like the 3 essential parts of client experience, and depending on where they are, we go through each of those as well.
So if there's one thing that you would say is the most important, like you're talking to an entrepreneur, they're dreaming big, they're getting ready to scale, what would you say is the number one focus, like the priority for them in a customer journey or in their customer's journey or just CX in general? That you're like, you can't miss this, and everybody always misses this part.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that I'm talking to you about it, because like your community, and for me, it's the order I think about like focusing in or like investing in your client experience is customer success, your branded private community, and then customer advocacy and referrals. Like that is kind of like the 3 areas you should look at, and you should always start with customer success because it's going to make the other 2 parts really easy. And customer success really is just making sure that you taking the time to make sure that your customer, your clients, however you want to refer to them as, are successful AF at whatever they bought from you. Like you're putting in everything in place to make sure that they're using the product, they're finishing the course, they're coming back into your cohort, they're jumping on calls or at least watching the replay. Like you do what you got to do to make sure that they see an ROI on what they bought from you, because then when you do create your circle or your Kajabi, like whatever branded community you want, they're ready to flock in there. It's not hard. They're ready. So like they love their brand because they found success with it. So they're jumping in there, and you have people that want to build with be part of what you want. And then from there, we're getting referrals and getting them to create testimonials, for getting them to help feedback and beta test. Becomes easy too. So it's that easy. You want to get to a point like, I don't know if anybody never wants new clients again, but you want to get to a point where like if you never had a new client again, you'd still be fine.
Absolutely. The experience is everything. And when entrepreneurs are barely starting out, we get so caught up in just trying to do it all. And, like the presence and social media and the website, that we forget who we're doing this for. And this is why I'm so passionate about community, because our business would not be operating if it weren't for our audience who buys what you're selling, whether it's a product or a service. And so they are very important. They are your MVPs always, all the time, because without them, you can't keep going, you can't keep growing. And so, it's like when you think about going to the store or going to a restaurant or whatever you've ever experienced. When we have a bad experience, we don't want to go back, and we tell someone else. When we have a good experience, it's like you lock me in. Like I'm in. I know that what you're doing, I know that you care. I think that really is what it all boils down to, especially now. What you mentioned earlier about social media, and even it happened to you where you were showing up on Instagram and started seeing what other people were doing in digital marketing or whatever. And there's so many people now doing that could offer like even community work, social media management, whatever it is. And so how can you stand out? It's by how you build your community and how you treat your audience and turn them into a community that you can grow and that you can nurture and that can be there when you pivot, because we've all been through pivots.
And they have your back.
They have your back because they know that you care and that you make them feel like they belong.
Exactly. Because everyone just wants to feel like at the end of the day, like you could be we all have that like little bit of like ego in us. Like we all want to feel like, I love when people I buy from make me feel special. Like they shout me out like, oh, I saw that you used it. So I was like, I did. Thank you. It's like all humans want that. We all want a little like love and attention, and it's nice. Especially if it's something that I invested in and you see that and you see me and you want to like you that is like, thank you. Thank you. Now people are different. Some people don't like it shouted out and puts the public, but even like the most introverted people, like tell me you don't like that little email recognition that you got. Like, I see you. Thank you for being here. It's like, okay, like we all love that. We're human.
Yeah, we are. And it's easy to forget, especially now when we're so used to planning and scheduling and things being perfect. And we can't forget that at the end of the day, we're just us. We're humans, we're real. And if you were to see this person in person, you wouldn't be like, oh no, I gotta like pull out my schedule. What was I supposed to say today? Like, no, just connect and make that connection. So I'm looking at your post now and I'm curious. So I was in Brooklyn before, now I'm in New Jersey. And my husband grew up in Westchester. So I'm just curious. You said you were born and raised in New York City, the Bronx to be specific. I'm looking at your awesome intro post.
Yeah.
How would you say, and like to a Cuban, Dominican, and Jamaican family, which is amazing,
Yes.
how has that impacted your work? Not even with Google and Meta and the early stage startups, but what you're doing now?
It's just made me recognize that you being yourself will just attract the right people to you. Like, don't try to be something else, just like, be who you are, and then you're gonna make those genuine connections. It's gonna feel so easy. And I know growing up you had a lot, and I'm sure it was the same for you, but you had a lot of the, like, those cousins and those aunts and uncles, like they're not really your aunts and uncles, like
Oh,
not
yeah.
blood related, but somehow they're your cousins. And it
Yeah.
was like I learned the importance of that you get to like choose your family and choose your community. You get to build that. It really does take a village to do everything. It makes being just real and caring about like the success and well-being of others, and knowing that they don't
Yeah.
like caring about your success and like well-being too. It just makes, honestly, being an entrepreneur easier. Growing up in the Bronx too, the Bronx is its own little community. It's its own little like pot of everybody. And even though there's millions of people, they still know everybody. You still have those little things that just like make, that just connect you. The larger scope just molds you and it just makes everything else natural and easy. And the idea of not having some sort of community feels weird.
What would you say has been the hardest part of making that transition from being in corporate to working for yourself?
Ooh. I was like, where do I begin with that? So, I think there was two big things, two big ones. I'll just do the close. One is the scheduling. Like, you don't realize like easy it is to have that 9 to 5 routine, and then like getting out of it is just like, oh, I need to make a routine for myself. Because at first it was like, I can wake up at 11 and do work until like 10 p.m. and then I'm exhausted and then I'm binging and then my brain doesn't work. I was like, oh, I need to finish really quickly. So I had to really force myself and self-discipline myself to get on a schedule and treat myself with the same, I don't say what more love, more kind of that self-discipline that I had with my 9 to 5, like with the corporate job. And then along the same vein, that actually is holding yourself as accountable when you don't have a boss, because you're the boss. And it's because it's so easy to just be like, yeah, you know, my manager or the boss, or, you know, so needs this by next week, I gotta make sure it's done. It's like, okay, well, you know, technically nobody needs your latest email newsletter this week, but you do, because that's where you're going to stay top of mind, and that's how you're going to give the information that people need to understand like your point of view and where you're coming from. People accurately. If not, why is anyone going to open your email? No one's going to get whatever information you're trying to get. So it's just like no one else is needing that, but you for yourself. It's just like, okay. So putting that same kind of energy that you would give as if you had like a or a boss over you, and that same accountability, and putting that, like, just doing that on your own. That was hard. It still is. I'm not gonna act like I'm still on a battle every day, and I just want to be like, I don't feel like it.
I missed getting to have someone to go to be like, this is happening, because you get so used to having someone, you know, like someone that you report to that sort of like just waves their wand and like problems go away. But when you work for yourself, you have the wand now, and it takes time to get, you know, to get it.
Well, that's why hiring is so important. Like, it's like getting the day you get to feel like a be and have a kind of that middle person. It's just like, yes.
Yeah.
You take the first step and then escalate it to me if it wants to be escalated.
See, there we go. That's how it works.
Yeah. But that's why it's also good, like, to have like spaces like Entreprenista, when I'm so happy, because I wouldn't have like otherwise. But it's just like someone. So I guess the other thing I miss too, having people to just vent or commiserate or just know what's going on, and like know the struggle is just like, like, do you, like, are you feeling this too? And it's just like, as other entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're like,
I mean, we wouldn't have met if it weren't for the Entreprenista League. Like having communities of people who are sort of in that same stage as you, or maybe have been there, is so important because you need to surround yourself by the people who get it and who are doing it. That's like, it's literally wired into our brain.
yeah. And honestly, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I did without entrepreneurs than like seeing, because it's such
Yeah.
a good range. Like there's people who like are just starting and they're like in earlier stages than me, but there's also people in there who have done it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, they can do it. I could do it. Kind of deal. And I just like love seeing all that post. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. Wait, I follow this account that you need to follow. I think you're gonna love it based on everything that I know about you now.
And
It's hold on. The handle is M on the Brain. EM on the Brain. Emily McDonald. She's amazing. I'm just gonna show you real quick so you know who you're looking
wait,
for.
Larry, I'm gonna
So what you just said about your brain, like our brain doesn't know what it doesn't know. And I know it takes us a while to recognize that, but she does an amazing job at breaking it down and literally saying what you need to tell your brain, what you're working towards, who you are, and your brain will believe it. It's honestly, it's amazing. You're going to love it. You can rewire your brain. It's true. And so that leads me to my next question before we start to wrap up here is what are, if any, things that you've had to unlearn through all this process?
yeah, there's oh man, so many things I've had to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Because I think in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship, like those first couple of months, like I really, and still to this day, like I'm still like relearning it, but rebuilding that confidence and being okay with not being the expert. Because like, you know, after a decade in a career, like yeah, that's a big accomplishment. Like I don't diminish that at all, but that's being like I'm an expert in the subject matter and I can make this happen, but I'm a baby entrepreneur and having to like that and just a very like humble myself and release my ego. I think that's what I had to unlearn. I had to unlearn listening to my ego. It's just like the ego. I was like, my ego, like that has no space here. Well, it does not. Like pride in what I do is happy, like being able to like talk about my accomplishment. Like, yes, I'm also unlearning that not to keep quiet. So it's more, I wouldn't say unlearning, it's more like relearning to just like share the accomplishments and not feel bad about it. Not being okay, relearning that it's okay to take space because it took me a while to get there in corporate life too, where it's just like, I'm gonna say what I have to say, and if you don't like it, deal. Like when you're like with your colleagues and like in work settings and like really trying to get your
that's so true
idea across. Like I used to like be very timid and shy in meetings, even though I had things to say because I would be worried about like they're gonna think this is a stupid question or it's like no one's gonna understand what I'm saying or I'm gonna sound so dumb in this meeting. Let me not say anything. And it took a while to be okay. It's just like no, say what you have to say. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If they have a question, they can ask a clarifying question. You answer it. Like be done. Want to get there, and I feel like I had to like relearn this in like the online space, but it's different because there's nobody kind of giving you that check mark, that green light that like, yes, exactly. That's exactly what we needed to hear. Exactly. Like you have to figure that out for yourself. So it's like, okay.
Yeah. You have to believe what you're thinking, what you're saying, how you're showing up and how you're stepping into every space online or in person. But the only person who can validate that is yourself. You have no one else.
So it's like relearning that, like, okay. That's probably the biggest. And I think something that I am actually unlearning. It's just asking for what you want. It's something I always tell people like just ask for it. Ask for it. Don't be and this I think that's connected to like what I was saying before, but just ask for what you want. Don't be afraid and embrace rejection. Like
I think if anything, it fuels you. And it's for some people, it comes naturally. Some people are just faster and bolder. And some people take a little while to warm up. Both are fine. But I think the act of practice is what comes in very handy. You don't have to start at 100, but if you could just take one little step every single time with every post, with every connection, every DM, it can make a world of a difference. And I think personally, that's the era that I'm stepping into, showing up not as the professional person that I think people would want to see, but rather who I really am. Like when I'm in conversations with you, when you see me outside of the screen, like I want people to see me for who I am, because at the end of the day, that's who they're going to work with.
Yeah. Like this. But it's actually like that's, I guess, because of Big Circle Moment, because that's what we started the conversation with. But that's where like the name of my business kind of came about, because I feel like a lot of all the business owners I work with, and just everybody, human nature, like there's this like I'm like perfectionism. Like I need to get it right. I need to find the gold star. I need to check mark. I need to know like this is gonna, whatever output I get, it's gonna get me like the results I want. And it's just like, well, as an entrepreneur doing your own thing, by default, everything you already do, it is perfect. You're just adding on and making it more perfect. Like perfection is subjective. Like you get to make it whatever you want. So it's like, let's do it. It's gonna be perfect.
I agree. It's also seasons that we go through, and you just have to embrace them.
Yeah.
You have to embrace them, and you got to believe in yourself, because if you don't, nobody else will. Like, it's true. Now I feel like I sound so cliche, but it's true and it's real.
Yeah.
Wait, you said in your post that if you don't pick up, it's because you're dancing. What's your favorite song to dance to?
Ooh, I go salsa dancing. I try to go at least 3 times a week, because I'm a salsa.
That's amazing.
And so I grew up dancing. And did like another community of mine. Like I was in dance classes since I was 3. So dance has been a huge
That's awesome.
part of my life forever. I love I love the stage. I love performing. I loved it all.
I love music. I love dancing. I really think it turns your day and your mood around instantly.
I do random dance breaks on a regular basis. When I need like to like stop thinking, I have like some like outside of Bad Bunny. I love most things Mariah. Like if I want to be like dramatic. I also really like love Ace of Base. It's a Beautiful Life. Like I will blast a song on a regular basis because it's just so fun. It makes you think.
So are you the type that you just keep repeating your favorite song? And you're like, I don't even care about any new ones right now. That's me all the time.
Like repeat. Thank you.
So I'm going to take that as the advice. That's the piece of advice. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling drained, get up and forget the walk, dance, put on a song and dance. I really enjoyed our conversation. I loved getting to know you better. I feel like there's so much to talk about, especially in community and customer experience and everything in between that really is the foundation of businesses. So I'm so excited that you had the time to share your story with us and that we made this happen. Can you tell everybody where to find you? Your website, your social media, LinkedIn?
Yes. So my Instagram, please follow me, Perfect Your CX. I love chatting with people on there. I am chronically online, so just hit me up. And you can also find me on my LinkedIn page at linkedin.com/Natalie Madrigal.
Yes, and she's not lying when she says she's online, because right before our call, I was like, let me just go find her post. And then I saw that you were liking my Substack. And I was like, we're doing the same thing right now. We're both like, let me do a little stalking before we
like get myself in the zone, the mindset.
I was like, okay, it's not just me, but okay, awesome. Perfect. Well, now you know where to find Natalie. Thank you again for sitting here with me today and sharing your story. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you love this conversation, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can find more about Community Made and sign up for the newsletter at communitymade.substack.com.